Good evening, everyone. And I have to acknowledge what's happening right over here. Fred Hadley, who is the publisher of the Village Sentry. And yes, Fred, I read it. And I'm always grateful when he offers, which he did for this evening, to tape the evening, and it will be on YouTube. So those folks who aren't here tonight will be able to see it. But there's nothing like listening to people in person and in a live mode. There's nothing like it. And these folks are sensational. And we've had wonderful, wonderful candidates. But we begin with, unfortunately, the flag is over there. I moved it the last time, just didn't do it this time.
We can use these little ones. They can face the little ones.
Okay, give it to me here. I got it, I get it. A flag is a flag, right? Please rise.
A flag is a flag.
Bob, would you lead us in the pledge? I'll hold the flag. They're just about my size.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball. Okay. I'm going to ask you to stand. Well, listen, it keeps you going, right? We need a lot of that because we're going to have Shmuel come and give us an invocation. This is a beautiful invocation. He's reading it in English, beautiful in Hebrew. It is a basic prayer that every father or mother can bless their children with. It is a beautiful prayer. So would you please stand? It's very short. Vice President of Friends of Liberty Republican Club, Shmuel Schuster.
Okay.
Right there.
Right. May God bless you and safeguard you. May He illuminate His countenance upon you and be gracious to you. May He watch over you and establish peace for you.
Amen.
Amen.
And may we have an election where everybody agrees on the result and we have peace after the election.
Amen. And Trump wins.
Republicans win. Joy?
Wow. Yeah.
And while you can sit, please, but while you're sitting, please, a silent prayer for the hostages, a moment for the hostages. I'm going to say this. With victory, which I think has to happen, the state of Israel has to be victorious, and then our hostages will come home for sure, because as you can imagine, our enemies are playing. And the only direction has to be one for victory. There's no other choice. And guess what? Tonight we are working towards victory. Amen. Victory on November 5th. Amen. As you know, we've got to do it. We have no choice, no other choice for our families, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. I have 7 now. Leah and Hera, okay. And the prospect of our country in the hands of the Democrats' choice to lead is just not possible. Do you agree?
Yes.
I don't hear you. Do we want Kamala and Waltz in charge of our future?
No way. No way.
I also think it's time to retire Chuck. And I happen to know him quite well, having been a Democrat in Brooklyn. And so I know him really very well. And so the Democrat Party that he's leading now, I don't recognize. It was vibrant, it was wonderful, I was very, very involved. And that's where I learned everything that I'm doing now. And so, what do we have to do? Let's win red bigly with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance elected in November. Now, I'm going to call upon Henny Weisvogel. Henny is very active in the community. And I'm going to say she was a former co-president of the sisterhood of this organization. I call it an organization, it's a shul, you know, it's a synagogue. And is an attorney, but not a practicing one. And she could tell you all about that, because she found her calling in helping this community in her way. So I turn it to Henny Weisvogel, and she takes over the panel discussion that we are going to listen to. Following the panel discussion, we will have some of the candidates who are here this evening to identify themselves and give them a few minutes to talk about themselves, and so that we know how they're doing, and we want them to do well as well.
I want to welcome all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I want to welcome all of you here. As Hilda says, I'm pretty active in the community. I was president of the Sisterhood, co-president for several years. I'm now a vice president on the shul board, and I'm really thrilled to be able to be here because I'm also a very supportive Republican. I want to call up the candidates who are here, and your names are here. So if I can call up Peggy. Yep. And I'm going to introduce you in a few minutes. Joe, come sit down. And I'm going to walk out. Sam called and he's late. He's stuck on Route 95. So he will be here when he will be here. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask the candidates, and I'm going to ask Peggy if you don't want.
You can take the mic out of the stand.
I'd like to. Here. Can you get it? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. Neuropathy is not good to take mics out of a, what do you call it, out of a stand. Anyway, I want to introduce first Peggy Gossett-Seidman, who we're hoping and planning to re-elect from our district. She has served us well in the last term that she's been. She could secure $10 million for our community projects, secured medical and mental health services for seniors, and where she works diligently for Safe Waters, and will always stand with Israel, and is endorsed by Teach Florida. The question that we are going to ask you tonight, that I've been prompted to ask, I had a few others, but Hilda said no, stick to the script. We are nearing a decision time for you. Please share your goals with us. You have 6 minutes, so go ahead, Peggy. Here's your mic.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I've been out here so many times, I think you know my background. But as of today, I'm leading the race, which includes the includes the vote by mail and the early voting.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. So that was a good sign. And I'm way ahead of where I was 2 years ago when I ran against the city councilman. So, thank you. Here's what I'm going to do when I get back to Tallahassee. First of all, insurance, HOA, and condos are top on the list. That is what I've heard. Last time I knocked 532 doors. I think I'm in the high 300s now, so we have another couple of 100 doors to knock out. I'm on my third pair of shoes. 2 are in the resale shop. It's true. They're in the resale shop there by Fifth Avenue. So here's what it is. The insurance has been going on for a long time, as I spoke about last time we were here. We have decided, Rep. Caruso and I and others have decided to start an insurance fraud division. Similar to JLAC, which we're on, the Judicial Auditing Committee, where we find the bad guys in the cities or in the businesses in the state. And we'll bring in the people who are taking money and leaving the state, who are going belly up. The insurance companies have been left, no one in office currently vividly went out and said, let's rip off our good constituents and let the insurance guys get away with crime, and that is in fact what has happened. And we're all paying the price. Part of the issue is that all of our property values went up. Here's an example. I was knocking a door the other day in a nice neighborhood, nicer than I'm used to, and I thought, well, let's look up this house. And the house had quadrupled since COVID 2020. Wow. 4 times the amount, 4 times the taxes. Therefore, the insurance is going to rise proportionately. So we have to talk about that. Maybe there's a way of getting around the fact that if your house values rise so greatly, so many people have moved to Florida. In fact, it's close to 1 million people in the last calendar year. The reason we know it wasn't just 500,000, because they just signed up to vote. So they might have been here and they didn't change their driver's license and their voter registration, but now they did. So it's 1 million people came to Florida. Yes, we don't have enough housing. Secondly, condos, HOAs. We're talking about definitely on, I think we get back the 8th of January, starting a condo HOA board to review those associations who may not be practicing great ethics or maybe misusing money. Last week, a condo guy in Southwest Miami-Dade was charged and was found guilty and $1 million fine, gone to jail for their misappropriating funds going to Las Vegas with their HOA people's money. There was a whole community that my colleague Juan Porras there and at the house found using this monies wrongfully. So those have to be covered. Big light bulb went off this week while I was knocking doors. Guess what? We don't have any seashells anymore on the north part of the Boca Raton beaches. Why? Because the cities have dredged the sand out there offshore, covered up reefs, ruined fish habitats, octopus, the little ground critters, eels, the skates and the eels that reside in these reefs. Their habitats are ruined, and it's taken all the shell collection capabilities away. You can still collect shells south of Boca, but they're dredging offshore to put back on the beach, which is great. We need sand on the beach, but we can truck it in from Orlando. It's going to cost a little more money, but what's better, ruining our reefs or trucking in at a little higher cost? So we'll cut out some of the garbage in the budget, and let's truck the sand to Boca and these other cities. Now we have the West Coast to take care of. And that came to me from people I have been knocking doors, and they were telling me, what happened to those shells? This is what happened. And then my Safe Waterways bill will be brought back. It reached all the way to the governor's desk, and he said, his aide, and he called me, it's not quite right. We have to fix 2 things in that bill, and that will hold the cities accountable when they're dumping sewage and chemicals into our waterways. Boynton Beach dumped 23 million gallons in on July 4th, and I think you heard the story. My husband's piloting our boat, my kids are on, and I jumped into the water to cool off, not knowing the sewer pipe broke.
Wow.
Green pea soup. I got on board, and my husband said, I said, it's green pea soup. This is very odd. I've been swimming here for like 35 years. He said, that's not good. Let's hose you down. My good friend was there, my neighbor who's a nurse. He hosed me down. Saw the news that night, went on Cipro. That shouldn't happen to our kids. Anyone who's got an issue, a medical issue, who's a little autoimmune deficient, not good. So that has to be corrected, and I found that out by accident by jumping into it, literally. Now, I told this story at the House on 3 different committees, and it erupted in both laughter and like, I can't believe that. Randy Fine called it poop tourism. We should not be allowing these people coming to visit us and then jumping into who knows what. So those are my goals. I continue to support Israel. October 9th last year, I was on top of a truck here at Palmetto and Powerline on a loudspeaker speaking to the people who had gathered, 2,000 people there. I was shocked. I'm worried for my kids. I'm worried for all the kids of the community and the state and worldwide who have to worry about, are they going to be safe tonight or tomorrow? It is not right. One of my kids is here tonight, Austin, one of my aides, my husband. We do not have to live this way in fear. It is not right. So I am fighting on. My bill passed last year, my House Resolution 9C called for immediate support of Israel and against Hamas. Ironically, I found out my current opponent is supported by Eskamani, the rep from Orlando, who is from Iran. Her family's from Iran, and she is pro-Hamas. I find that very disturbing, and I've spoken out against this very directly. I would not be affiliating with someone who will not stand against Hamas. This is ridiculous. So we are going to fight on. We're going to win. I am winning. My colleagues are winning, and we will continue to work together. You guys can have my cell number, my office number, my husband's number if you faint, and just joking. And feel free to call me if I can do anything. I'll be there for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and your support for Israel is very important to us here. I'd like to call next on Joe Kaufman. He shares our values, obviously, the economy, Israel, school choice, and he moved here, in case you didn't know, to take care of his grandmother, and it was nice. He stayed. How lovely is that? His wife
it's nicer than New York.
His wife is from Peru. She teaches Spanish and Hebrew, and has a young campaign active daughter by the name of Ruth, and we're thrilled to welcome Joe.
Thank you.
26 minutes.
Okay, that didn't sound like a question. Oh, so
What are you going to
sure.
can you share what your
Okay.
goals are?
First of all, thank you so much. Thank you, Hilda and Shmuel. You guys have been in a light in this campaign, and I'm so proud to know you both. Listen, I want to talk a little bit about my background. So my background's in national security, counterterrorism. I was the one that got that pro-Hamas conference shut down this past January at the Coral Springs Marriott. You don't like the squad? Well, I've already started going after the squad before getting to Congress. I'm the one that got Summer Lee, one of the most anti-Israel squad members, to cancel her keynote address at CARE's, that Hamas-linked CARE group, their annual conference in Philadelphia this past February. And I'm the one that got the information about that radical imam in Miami that called for an annihilation of Jews. I got that information to the state of Florida about how he's running a children's private school, and this private school has already gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars. I heard $600,000 to a children's private school that shares space with an imam that called for an annihilation of Jews, with an imam that said that women are responsible for the rapes that happen against them, with an imam that joked about sacrificing house pets at the mosque, and I'm proud to say that the state is now going after the imam, the school, and his dental license as well. I suggest you don't go to this man for dental work. So being that I have this type of background, I'm going to want to get involved in fixing the border situation, in foreign policy, in national security. Those things are important to me. Certainly fixing inflation is important. It's important for all of us. You know, I keep on talking about it over and over again, how my daughter lives in a time where she needs to know what BOGO means, buy one, get one free at the supermarket. You know, I grew up at a time, I grew up during the Carter administration in the 70s, when we had the gas lines and the Iran hostage crisis, and the food prices going up as a result of massive inflation. And I talk about how that same thing is going on today. But back then, somebody named Ronald Reagan came in and changed all of it. And I want to be one of the individuals that comes in and once again changes things for the better of our country. I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather, I was raised by my grandparents. That's why I came here to take care of my grandmother. My grandmother was my best friend. She raised me, and I was going to help her in her time of need. My daughter was named after her, Ruth. Thank God we had a daughter to name after my grandma. So I remember when my grandfather would come home, and he'd bring home the New York Post and the New York Daily News, those bastion of educational information, for the sports section. But every day at the top it would say, day 300, day 301, day 302 of the hostage crisis. Just like in Israel, where they're counting off the days for their own hostages. And today, I can tell you that, and it's been for a while now, for the past 15 years, I've been involved with the Iranian opposition. It's the reason why the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, the son of the former Shah of Iran, endorsed my campaign. He doesn't endorse any political candidates, but he endorsed me because of my involvement. Sean and I, my campaign manager, Sean Malakovsky, by the way, we had the pleasure some nights ago, less than a week ago, of sitting for dinner with the global head of the Iranian opposition. Wow. And he's an advisor to the Shah Reza Pahlavi. And let me tell you about Pahlavi. Right now the Ayatollah is in office, but Pahlavi, for the first time, because Pahlavi came here when he was a kid. Remember, his father was, could have been killed in Iran had it not been for the U.S. to help the family over here. And Pahlavi grew up in the United States, and he made a video a week ago where he said for the first time, because he's been involved with the opposition forever, since a little kid when he was coming here, because every Friday night when us Jews are celebrating Shabbat, there's a huge group of Iranians in Iran, I've seen all the videos, chanting Pahlavi's name because they want to see him back. They want to see him come back. And for the first time a week ago, he said that the Iranian regime has to go. And it wasn't just to say that they have to go. It wasn't just to say that for the world. It was to send a message to the Iranian people. Because it is my understanding that once things really take place, and it's just beginning now with Israel's attack on Iran, once things take place, it's my understanding that the Iranian people, most of which hate the Ayatollah and want to see the Ayatollah gone, that they're going to take to the streets and they're going to take out the Ayatollah themselves, and the guns are going to be turned on the Ayatollah from their military. And Reza Pahlavi is going to be the leader, and we're going to see Shah Part 2. And he'll be a better Shah, a better version of the Shah. So I would just say this to you, as sure as I'm standing here, and Sean can tell you this, and I can't go too far, but I've had a hand in what's going on today over there in some way, because we brought together some groups that weren't aligned with each other previously, and now they are, and they're helping each other, and it's going to cause peace to come to the Middle East finally. I mean, can we imagine having peace in the Middle East? Where Abraham Accords are all throughout the Middle East. I say this when I speak at the different Chabads. I tell them that I'm looking forward to being one of the co-founders of the first Chabad in Tehran, and it sounds funny, but it's coming soon. It's coming soon, and these are the things that I'm involved with. Certainly locally, we understand, because we've done the numbers, that we are ranked 25th out of 28 districts in bringing back federal funds to the district. So, Representative Gossett-Seidman, I certainly want to work with you to bring those funds to help with the seashore, because we shouldn't be ranked 25th. We shouldn't be ranked on the bottom. We have Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale, two economic hubs of the United States, not just Florida, but the United States. And we should be getting such little money to our state. And that's one of the things that I'm going to work on, is to bring back more of the federal funds and bring back the jobs to the state, to the district, to the state of Florida, and to the United States. It's so important that we do this for our children, for our grandchildren, etc. And so with that, I just want to say, you know, we're at the polls. Sorry about my dress wear, but I just threw a jacket in the car because I've been at the polls all day long. I'm there from morning till night every day, and the polls are amazing. The numbers are amazing. We are going to listen. I said this before the primary last time. I said that we were going to win the primary, and it was a tough primary. We had 6 people in the primary, and so I was battling 5 others. And I think I came, you know, people thought I came out of nowhere, but we won that. And I will tell you now, we are going to win the general, and we know that we are going to win because the numbers are with us. The numbers right now are much better than they were in 2022 and 2020. And so we are going to win with flying colors, and we can see that. We did the polling. We're 6 points up in the polls. And the independents are going Republican in a very big way. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you. Sam.
Sam, you weren't here when I gave the question. Sam is our candidate for County State Attorney. In another life, I was an attorney too. One of the stages that I went through in my life. But I just want to welcome you. Our question has been, as we're nearing the decision time for you, please share. You have the mic back.
And what's he running for anyway?
How's that? Okay. Sam is a former state and U.S. attorney, New Jersey District Office, served in Palm Beach County. He teaches at the University of Miami Law School, and he seeks justice for victims, fights for jail criminals, and he'll protect seniors from fraud and financial crimes. The question we've been asking is, can you please share your goals with us? Standing on 1 foot for 6 minutes. Thank you.
I'm Sam Stern. I'm running for Palm Beach State Attorney.
Yes.
This is... Let me be extremely clear about what this is, because the title is unfortunate. This is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer for all of Palm Beach County. It is the DA, the prosecutor. Every criminal violation of the law that happens in this big old county is the responsibility of the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office, from a misdemeanor to a capital offense. Any acts of anti-Semitism happen at that office in terms of charging, or they do not happen. And there is nowhere else to go. There is a reason, ladies and gentlemen, that this is the #1 non-federal race on your ballot. It is number 4. It is 2 spots ahead of the sheriff's race, depending on where you are. I'm not minimizing our law enforcement partners, but I want you to understand that this is an incredibly critical election. It has no term limits. Incumbents are rarely challenged. You are making a very, very significant decision with this race, with this funky little title, state something, who knows. It is the prosecutor. It is the person who is going to deal with public safety, and so goes public safety, so goes a community. I mean no disrespect to Congress. I've never met anybody who left their community because they elected a bad congressman. But I do know people, and I suspect you know people, who have left their communities if they elected a bad prosecutor. Palm Beach County is one of the most Jewish counties in the United States of America. It's in the top 3, according to Brandeis' study that the Jewish Federation did. Manhattan, Los Angeles County, and little old Palm Beach County. So I will say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, which I think speaks volumes. Benjamin Franklin said, "We either hang together or we hang separately." I don't think Mr. Franklin was talking about the Jews. but he might as well have been, ladies and gentlemen. I'm running for this office because I'm deeply concerned about it. This office needs to be reformed. I would like to give you an example, a very easy example of the serious issues in this office. And I would like to have your participation. Who here has heard of a man named Jeffrey Epstein? Okay. Thanks, Sam. We know about him, right? Let's see a show of hands. How many people in this room know that one of the prosecutors 17 years ago who undermined the underage girls in the grand jury still works in that office? Now, of the hands raised, how many people knew that before I started this campaign? Okay, so some people knew, some people didn't. This is an important moment where I would like to thank Peggy. I figured this out in terms of my own understanding of this, because thanks to Peggy's exceptional work and passing the legislation to have those grand jury transcripts released, which is an incredible thing she did.
Thank you.
Incredible. We would not have known what happened in that secret proceeding in that grand jury all those years ago. These are sacrosanct secret transcripts. And that's why they did it in the grand jury. They did it to hide it. But thanks to Peggy and the governor signing that legislation, we see now in living color, you can see it yourselves, the transcripts of what those prosecutors did. And we know who those prosecutors are now. And when I read those transcripts when they were released in July, I couldn't believe it. That one of the prosecutors still works in that office. There is no good explanation for this, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing good. I have said this on television, I will say it to you now. When I am the state attorney, we are going to do a review of what happened in that case. We are going to look at the file. We're going to understand what happened, and we are going to be public-facing about it. How could it possibly be? What news articles have we read about this? One of the most reported travesties in the history of criminal justice. Documentaries made. I mean, you've been overwhelmed by this information to the point where everyone said, yeah, thanks for telling me about Jeffrey Epstein. And yet, it continues. It's an outrage. I'll tell you another outrage. Who's heard of a man named Michael Wiseman? Anyone heard of him? All right, so someone's reading the papers. Okay? Mr. Wiseman, 3 days after the first attempted assassination of Trump in Pennsylvania, went online. And he threatened to kill Trump, he threatened to kill J.D. Vance, and he threatened to rape their daughters. PBSO did the right thing. They arrested him. He was initially held no bond. Everything looks right so far. 2 days after the second attempted assassination on the golf course, the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office gave this man a pre-trial intervention. What does that mean? In 12 months, he'll have no record, and he can buy a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get on your Google machines and you'll find out that any serious prosecutor's office in America, when you make a threat to kill a public official, you don't just end up with a record. You do time. It's serious business. And they gave this guy a walk. And guess what happened? I found out about it. And it's worse than that. You can't give a pretrial intervention on a second-degree felony for threatening to kill someone. It's an illegal plea. And you can read about this in the Sun Sentinel. I said, this is an illegal plea. It's an outrage. Palm Beach State Attorney's Office said, no, it's not. It's not an illegal plea. It was the right thing. He's got mental health issues, blah, 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 blah. They lied to the public. A few days ago, I found this out. That over a month ago, 2 days after they lied to the public, they went and undid the plea. Because it was illegal. And they didn't tell anybody. Net sum, here it goes. They did something wrong, they got busted, they lied to the public, they undid it, and they didn't want to tell anybody because they wanted to cover it up. Epstein prosecutor still works there. How does this sound to everybody here so far? And this is just what's come to light in the last 3 months, whatever the math is. It's a roach motel, ladies and gentlemen. This place needs significant reform. It needs significant leadership change. I intend to reform this office.
Wait, I just have a question. So how are you doing in the polls?
Wait, oh. You want to answer that?
Sure.
What's the question?
She asked how I'm doing in the polls. So let me answer this more broadly, and Joe touched on this as well. Republican, and we all have different races because there's different, you know, I'm countywide, et cetera, et cetera. Republican turnout is incredible. It is incredible. My people are constantly sending me the countywide numbers that are going down and down and down by half a percentage point to full percentage points every day. And what the data is showing us, writ large, on Republican turnout is as follows. D turnout in the beginning, which is sort of the hardcore, you know, high propensity voter, that's sort of, you know, spent in terms of mail ballots. That we're not pulling forward are election day voters. That lower propensity Republicans are turning out now. And that's why these numbers are crashing. The data people tell me that they're amazed and very, very pleased. So thanks to all of you, and thanks to everybody else.
We have a question. I think Joe told us pretty much, and I'm going to let him go before Peggy, even though she has seniority. But Joe has to run out. Joe has to run out to another place where he's speaking, and we don't want to prevent that. So the question that you're going to have this time is, what have you been doing to win, and how can volunteers help? So you have about 6-7 minutes for that.
First of all, during the primary, we did everything right. You know, we had the thanks. We did the emails and the texts and the mailers, and we had a vibrant door-to-door campaign, thanks to many in this room right now, and everything went right. And in the end, we won big. And we've done the same thing. One of the things that was lacking was our social media ads, but during the general, we've corrected that, and we have a lot of ads running. So we've done everything great. You see all the signs around. Anybody see the giant signs?
Yes.
Yeah.
So those big, beautiful 4x8s. We love those.
Yeah.
We
want one too at Lions and Yamato. Why don't we get a big sign?
Okay, maybe. We'll put in for that one.
I want a sign.
I think we may have some left over.
These are big.
So we've done everything right, and I'm at the polls, and we have volunteers at the polls, and I know it's been the Jewish holidays, and a lot of our volunteers were off for the holidays. Chag Sameach, by the way. Shana Tova. So you know, definitely, if you want to get involved, please do. We are absolutely winning this campaign. We're going to win. We're going to win with big numbers. But it's a lot easier if we have a lot of volunteers. And I know a lot of you have graciously volunteered during the primary, and I ask you please to do the same during the general. We have great volunteers in the 2 Century Villages and in Winmore, and we're getting to. I know there's a lot of Democrats in all 3 of those places, but we're getting to a lot of them, and I believe a lot of the issues, you know, affect them in a big way, where maybe they were Democrat, but maybe they feel a little bit alienated from the Democratic Party today. I know a lot of people feel that way. I was speaking the other day at the other Century Village, and there's a new Republican club, by the way, at the Century Village in Deerfield, and there were a lot of people in the crowd, and it was the thing that got the most applause when I mentioned that Democrat Jews were feeling alienated from the Democratic Party, and they were coming to the Republican Party. And I have a feeling half the people in that crowd may have been former Democrats. So please volunteer. We have cards and T-shirts and signs. we can get that to you. Right now, we have a meet and greet, so we have to go over there, Sean and I. But it's been a pleasure speaking to all of you. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you and knowing many of you, and I hope to know all of you soon. So I look forward to being a congressman in January and speaking to all of you next time as U.S. Congressman. Thank you so much.
Again, our question is, what have you been doing to win, and what can volunteers do to help?
Yes, ma'am, but before the good Joe leaves, I just want to add on that my son pointed out that I brought back this $10.3 million for Boca Raton County and Highland Beach, and his current opponent was bragging on Facebook he brought back $2 million. So a U.S. congressman brings back 2, 5 times much. Who am I? I'm just a mom of 3 who wanted to run to fix up the community, and this guy's a professional congressman and can't even get close to so I thought, baloney. So, just thank you, Joe. Good luck. And a note on Mr. Stern, I want to add that a very fine, high-ranking police person, whom I will not name, told me that criminals get to the county line where the Trump alleged shooter passed. They get to the county line of Palm Beach and Martin County, and they do a U-turn because they don't want to be arrested in Martin County where Sheriff Snyder is a tough law and order guy. They U-turn and come back to Palm Beach County to get arrested and let go. So I want to highlight what he stated is actually true. So what am I doing to win? Well, I'm perplexed that I have an opponent who never even lived here, never worked in the county, much less the state, he never even lived here until a few months ago. It sort of boggles my mind that he's going around saying he's done so much for Florida. This is going on my 8th year of public service. I say that because there's no money in this. I'm not doing it for money. I could care less. The 3 kids are grown, have their own things going on. But I will tell you that Palm Beach County and Boca Raton deserve more than they've gotten in the past. Through no fault of anyone, but people think we're well off, we don't need water pipes, we don't need clean water, we don't need swales to drain the roads because they forgot and they filled in the side of the road so it drains into the road instead of out of. People forgot how to do things here, and so I called them out and I said, no, Boca Raton, Highland Beach, and Palm Beach County need assistance, and that's why I fought for these appropriations. And when I talk to people and I explain that, you fight for them, you go out and get the money for the area. It's free money. It's $10 million for Boca. Free money. It's like BOGO times 20 million. I do BOGO shopping still. I have one in my bag right now. So we are working hard. We have got walkers. We are in the last, Logan and Austin, the last 20 houses, condos and townhouses we could access by walking. We're on the last group tomorrow. We have hit every accessible single-family condo and townhome we can. The other places which are gated, like you all, have been getting mailers. You may have been getting my mailers. You saw the one of my little kids. I think that went out right lately. We've been coming here for 32 years. My in-laws lived in Guilford, 103C. Actually, we evacuated there during hurricanes because we're in an island that we had to get out of. We had a lot of fun there. So I've been walking with my team all over the place. I've been doing interviews. I'm endorsed by the Palm Beach Post. They saw through the misrepresentation and the false information being put out by my opponent, completely false. My vote for abortion, my vote for long guns, my vote for other situations, complete lies. They saw through that. I'm endorsed by them. And I'm out in the community because that's my thing. I was always out in the community. I was driving kids to sports. I was meeting up with people. I'm knocking on doors and it's my friends from when my kids were in kindergarten. I didn't know they moved. They're there. We're meeting old, new friends. The doctor who helped my kid with his asthma attacks, we saw him this week. So we're all around getting to know people we don't know and seeing new friends. And that's the way you win elections. And you're honest. I have not stated one thing that's not correct or accurate. I'm a journalist. I don't do fake news. I don't do false stories. I give the facts to you all. I will always tell you the honest truth. If I screw up, I'll say I screwed up. I'm not perfect. We have done a great job, and this county and Boca Raton deserves the truth. They deserve the money, and they deserve the attention of the governor. He knows Boca. He talks about Boca all the time. So we deserve to have the monies coming here, and I'm completely committed to this. I'm not some kind of floozy who just had nothing better to do. My house isn't clean, my laundry's not done, but we are winning this election because my heart is in it, my shoes soles are in it, my soul is in it, and we're going to get it done for all the good people here. Thank you very much.
Sam, I think you know what the question is, and here you go.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
So first, a little context. Palm Beach County is twice the size of a congressional district.
Yep.
It's about 8 times the size as Peggy's district. So this is a massive, massive undertaking. And so I can't door knock Palm Beach County. There's 1.6 million people here. It's larger than Delaware. You're not going to see signs everywhere because it would cost a fortune. It's just not practical, right? So here's what we are doing. One, we're on television a lot, which is good. We're hitting mailboxes, targeted digital, all the things to communicate to an enormous group of people. But frankly, look, in the end of the day, I just think elections are about candidate quality, right? Like, this is a big little town when it all comes down to it, and people want to find the good restaurants, they want to find the good people, right? And I think what's really been great, whatever happens here, what I'll be most proud of in some ways, I was endorsed by the Sun Sentinel. I was endorsed by both of the Democratic primary candidates who ran for the Democratic nomination, who refused to support the Democratic nominee and endorsed me out of deep concern for public safety in this county. This is deeply meaningful to me. It will always be true. Show me another time in politics where that's happened. I haven't been able to find it yet, right? Like, we're breaking the rules here, and we're breaking the rules because it's a public safety job. And all that matters is which lawyer do you want to hire to keep you and your family safe. So whether people, whether they agree about Trump, or they don't agree about Trump, or they disagree about this amendment, or don't agree about that amendment, what everybody can agree on is that Sam Stern is the best lawyer to hire to keep this community safe.
Thank you so much for sharing your ideas with us. We so appreciate your efforts on our behalf. I'd like to turn you want to have questions first? Okay.
I have time.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's hear. Anybody have questions? Why don't you come up? Tell us your name and, okay?
Hi, I'm Michael Ackerman. Thank you, Hilda, for putting the event together. And it was great to see Joe and hear Mr. Stern and Ms. Seidman. Thank you very much for your commitment to the community. I'm leading a group with my son, Daniel Ackerman. Florida Stands with Israel, the license plate. Signed into law by Governor DeSantis, and we just made the numbers, thanks to the community. Across the state of Florida, it's going to be available in early January, and you'll be able to get it on your vehicles. The question I have is, there are some people that we've actually, it's been a remarkable campaign, but some people's comments have been, I love it, I'd love to have it, but I'm a little concerned about, the possibility. Maybe 1%, 99% has been, I'm getting it. But for the few, the 1%, I understand the governor passed a law, anti-discrimination, anti-hate law about 8 weeks ago. What would your office do in that regard, and how can we answer people that would have that question? Because we have our website, floridastandswithisrael.org, and we want to include that information in what your office would do. Thank you.
So this just goes back to the point I made earlier, right? Like, you can have all the laws, and if you don't enforce them, it's like they're not even real. Nobody should feel unsafe walking down the streets of this big community. Nobody should be scared to have that license plate on their car for fear of attracting bad actors. I can't eliminate crime. I'm not going to oversell this, okay, folks? There are bad people out there who do bad things. But what we can do, and what we will do, is be extremely vigorous in dealing with those people, which sends a message to them and to other people that if you come here and if you do that, we are going to take care of business. That's my answer.
Are there any more questions?
Or to your left. To your left.
Oh, over here? Tell us your name.
Okay. My name is Jeannie Silver. I live in Yarmouth. You all spoke. I wasn't really sure who I'm voting for. Now I know. Thank you very much. Really appreciated what you had to say. I worked for about 10 years, more even, for a New York State Assembly member. And whenever we had issues that came up, whether it was the Jewish community, not the Jewish community, we really acted. I remember when I first started, I said, what is this, a community organization or a legislative office? Like, what is this? But we were really like a community organization in many ways. And when issues came up, there was always an address, and a lot of the people called when we had Hurricane Sandy. I was there. They said, call this office because they needed help, and they weren't even constituents, and we helped them. So my question to you is that we've been talking about all the Jews in the county, and we help people whether they were Jewish or they weren't Jewish, didn't matter, but do you have any plans, or because since I came to Florida, I always ask, if something's going on in the Jewish community, is there an elected official that we can turn to? Now, at one point, there was issues with Jewish veterans getting buried. We turned to Jared Moskowitz. He did help. There's, unfortunately, and I was in Boca Raton, in Boca Regional, and discovered that even though you order kosher food from the kosher menu, you're not necessarily getting kosher food. And I have spent the last year trying to get people involved in that. So my question is, do you have any plans, or do you already have in place some sort of a liaison when we have issues that are specific to the Jewish community, and of course other communities as well, but I'm asking you as a Jewish community, do you have anything? Can we turn to you? I'd love to have your cell number, but I don't know if you're going to regret that. But no, so that's my question.
Hey everyone, it's 561-271-5050.
Good number.
Yes, it is. My husband knew somebody at AT&T like 20 years ago. I have a great office. It's at Spanish River and Federal, and I have a staff of 2, in addition to Logan, who's my campaign staff, and my volunteer son and volunteer husband, and volunteer dachshund, who's in the back of the room being good. We have to take him out because he's a little bit anxiety-ridden these days. We answer whatever we can, always as efficiently as we can. I get about anywhere from 200 to 500 emails a day. My staff turns them around. When they wanted to take over our parks with this phony golf course and other venues and hotels and frisbee units and weird golf things, I was receiving 500 like an hour. I answered every single one, and when I'm knocking doors, guess what people say? You were the only person who answered my email about the parks. And because of that, I'm Democrat and I voted for you. And that's very reasonable and honorable to hear. I've also helped people from out of my area. There is a little boy, and I found out about him from a shul from down in Miami Beach, and he was in danger of passing. He was deathly ill and needed treatment in California for his condition. He was 9 years old, and they called me because someone knew me. So I'm thinking, what do I do about this? I called my high school buddy in San Francisco, where this hospital was located, high school friend, last name Champion, it's a great name. I said, who do you know who could help me? And she gave me her state rep, it's a different name there. Democrat guy called me up in an hour. He said, what can we do? This guy and I arranged for the Florida Medicaid to be covered in California, which is not reciprocal generally, and that little boy was on a plane the next day with his parents and got treatment. And he's so far fine. So that's the kind of thing, that's like my favorite thing I've done so far. And other than, actually I saved my mother-in-law in Lake Boca from drifting away on a styrofoam noodle. That's a true story. She drifted all halfway to the bridge from our boat, and I used to lifeguard, and I hauled her back with a cross carry with her doodle noodle against the incoming current. Her husband said let her go, but we didn't. It's a true story. So those are my favorite things to do, and that makes me go to bed at night and say my prayers and say thank you for the help. And those are the things I do. I'm happy to help you all out. I have a thing about food too, because I'm gluten-free, not by choice. I'm allergic to wheat. So sometimes you go get like a gluten-free sandwich, but they grilled it right next to like a whole wheat bread sandwich, or they put the pasta sauce on your gluten-free pasta, but it's full of flour. Things are not always labeled and protected accurately, whether it's gluten-free for celiac people or kosher. They're not always prepared separately. I would be glad to look into that for you, and that shouldn't be, that's like a no-brainer. I cannot solve the ongoing question online, who has the best Chinese food. I see that every Sunday night. But I would be glad to take my number, I'll give you my card, you can call my legislative office and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick one on that because it's a bit simpler for me, right? Like, Michael Gallagher back there will tell you, you have a problem, somebody's doing something wrong to you, call the sheriff's office, call Boca PD. If we can make a case, we'll prosecute them.
Anyone else?
Yeah. How many offices? Oh,
State your name, please.
my name, Zvi Margulis. How
Okay.
many offices you have, satellite offices you have in the county? For,
When you're done,
yeah, I'm done. Just to know how many offices that you have in the county.
Yeah, so to give you the scale of the office, there's about this numbers fluctuate a little bit. We got about 115 prosecutors, about 200 staff. Main office is in West Palm Beach. You got North County, South County satellites. You got Gun Club. You got Belle Glade. These are smaller offices that are doing sort of discrete things, but the main hub of activity is downtown in West
So
Palm.
if I have a problem here, I have to drive to Palm Beach or?
When you say a problem, like if you're
No, I'm saying,
if you have a complaint, or if you're charged with a crime.
in Queens, where I used to live, the DA is in the courthouse. You have one office for the DA. How many you have, because the county is big. So you have one office in West Palm Beach?
I think, look, without getting very technical about it, for all intents and purposes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
For 90, whatever, high 90 percentile, it's in downtown. Palm Beach State Attorney's Office is right next to that big courthouse. And that's where most of the action takes place. There's some discrete things like Belle Glade, but I don't want to bore you with it.
Okay.
Shmuel, you want to come up?
Do you want to ask a question?
I wanted to ask about water safety. Usually I wouldn't think about it, but since you talked about going into the green suit, I had a friend, Tech One. I don't know, did anybody use Tech One for the mechanics? Anyway, the girl that was running the office, she was on a boat and she was killed on the intercoastal. And there's a lot of accidents that are happening on the intercoastal. And something has to happen because a lot of good people are getting killed in boating accidents, and it's not talked about that much.
Oh, the sheriff wants to answer.
My cars, yeah.
You want to? I'll give it a quick answer. Yes, when I was a Highland Beach commissioner, I went to the chief before I got elected and I said, I think we need a police boat because we live on direct intercoastal in an old house, 40-year-old house, but we have pulled out 3 sets of people out of the water. One were 3 guys, not originally American, Spanish-speaking Latino guys, in a small flat-bottom boat. One guy had 1 arm, and they had a big styrofoam case full of beer. Some of it cervezas, some of it missing, some of it full bottles. A deep drafting boat flew by, probably speeding because it's a 25-mile-an-hour in the season. Swamped the boat, they all fell off. The 1-armed guy couldn't swim yet, it's not a good swimming method. And we pulled them all out before the sheriff got there. 2 other accidents happened, and Highland Beach bought a police boat, Boca bought extra police boats, Delray is getting a boat, or may have gotten it by now. Everyone is bulking up on the water, and now that that is known and the speed limits are being enforced by heavily patrolling on weekends, holidays, and sometimes Thursday, Fridays, the kids get out of school, go out there on water skiing and boogie boarding and all. there is an effort to increase the safety. It's not there yet, but there were 2 fatal accidents in Highland Beach within 6 months, and that's what got, I think, everyone's attention. Sadly, just like FDOT says, we will put in a new stoplight when there's a death at that intersection. There are certain parameters that must be followed. Anyway, we're good, we're not great. The water safety has increased. People are becoming more aware. If we don't take care of it now, it's not going to be there next generation or even next week.
So, can you wait a minute, Fred? He wants to answer.
I'm up already, let me ask you a question.
Oh, he's also up. Go ahead.
Yes, Sam, I wanted to ask you a question about the current holder of the office and another case. We all heard about the Epstein case. And I'm referring to the Orchids of Asia case, which was a massage parlor or something where Robert Kraft got implicated. Are you familiar with that case? Okay. So we want a law and order and tough on crime, but if you go too far, you endanger the rights of ordinary citizens who got swept up and were videotaped that were perfectly innocent going in for therapeutic massages. Can you comment on that case, and what assurances can you give that your office won't be guilty of prosecutorial overreach?
Sam is going to be brief.
Yes, ma'am. Very briefly, what I would say about this case is the reason why this case was deeply problematic is because the prosecutors didn't get the warrants correctly. And when it was litigated, the warrants were bad and the whole case fell apart. So the answer about overreach is just about doing it correctly. Whether it's about legal pleas or getting correct warrants, like you gotta be able to do this stuff well and correctly, because real people's lives and reputations are at risk. To your point, what I understand what you're saying. So we have to get it right. These are real people.
We're going to wait with the candidate in a minute.
Oh, no, he wanted to answer the question.
I was going to respond to the accidents on the water.
Can you wait a minute?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
I'm
glad
going to
to.
give you that time.
No problem.
I just want to say that if you had any doubt about what you were going to do, how many have voted already? I bet you did the right thing already. Right? Because they are sensational and we must elect them. We must. You know, our future is dependent on that. So I want to thank my good friend, because I really feel that she's my friend. And that's what she does, that feeling you get from her. You know her, she's your friend. And she needs to be reelected. I don't think that she has real competition, to be honest. And any candidate that feels they have to lie, which he did, I'm not going to talk about which item he lied. It doesn't matter. It's a terrible thing that you have candidates who think that that's okay. And so we are so proud of you, Peggy, and Sam. We're so happy that you are running. You know, you have this guy sitting right there taking a video of you who endorsed you. You know why that's significant? You want to tell them? And Peggy. Yes, he endorsed Peggy and Sam. You want to tell them, or should I, why that's significant?
Well, I don't want to take up a lot of time, but
No,
sometimes you
you're not
have to
going to.
put county ahead of party. And I believe that these are the best qualified candidates for this county. And that's why the Village Century is enthusiastically endorsing those two. Thank you.
And that's why he's videotaping this. It's going to be on YouTube, everybody.
Wow.
So everyone's going to hear what they have to say. Of course, I wish you had done the same for that young man there, but we understand.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Not bad, considering he's a Democrat. Anyway, we'll forgive him.
I wore my red and blue shirt just so, in the spirit of bipartisanship.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I could just break in and let Hilda know that on behalf of our we candidates up here, we wanted to present her with a bit of a thanks. for her efforts just to hold these meetings throughout the year. And Santa will read comments from Sanjo and I, and they're paid for Breast Cancer Month.
Now, the man that's
Red
standing
and
right
other
there
comments.
is Dr. Seidman. Guess whose husband he is? We're so happy to have you here. And where is Austin? Did he leave?
He's in the back.
Oh, Austin.
Stand up, honey.
That amazing guy is right back there, taking care of a dog, I bet. I didn't know, I'm not sure, but is that what you're doing there? Of course he is. You're sensational, Austin. Wonderful that you're here. It's wonderful that your family is here. And of course, you have a new member of your family, Logan. That's beautiful. All right. So, if you want to sit here, you can. Otherwise, you can sit back at your table or you can go. Okay, that's good. Because if there are questions, we can continue to do that. Now, we have 3 candidates here tonight. I was going to call you Sheriff Walker already. Isn't that amazing? He's a candidate for sheriff. He's the Republican candidate for sheriff. And that's Palm Beach County, so I have to call on him first. And where is Jeff? And Jeff is a candidate for?
Supervisor of election.
Okay. And that's also Palm Beach County. You don't have to tell me where you are. I know, because we are going to elect you. Could you stand up, Gloria? Everybody loves her. Gloria Pratt. We need some sanity on that school board. And education is my thing. And I know all about school boards. Believe me, I know all about school boards. From New York City. I was very, very active. And so we are lucky that, could you remember her name? She's a Republican, ladies and gentlemen. She's a Republican. But it's not identified that way on the ballot. So you really need to know to put that little oval, no checks, no crosses. It's happened, you know. I work the polls. I'm a poll worker. We had a woman, that poor lady, marked the entire ballot incorrectly. And so she had it, but I gave her a little help because she was doing all the right things. Anyway, so Gloria, so we're going to start with our possible future show, right? Michael Bolton, right?
Thank you. First, I came up here because I wanted to address this problem on the water. And I'll tell you a little story. Some years ago, we had our Marine unit from the Sheriff's Office has about 16 officers assigned to it. We're at $8 million a year in cost for that Marine unit. I had gone to the captain of the unit and said, hey, you need to look at this Marine unit. I'm hearing things. I do management by walking around. I'm everywhere. I'm out in the communities. You know, I don't sit just in an office. And told him, I said, check on him. Well, some time passed and it came up for what we call ComStat. Who's from New York? Came out of New York. Bratton, Jack Maple, Giuliani put that together. They held their staff accountable for the work that they're supposed to be doing. And if they don't, then what happens is they get embarrassed. Well, ComStat rolled around, the captain stood up, he gave this great presentation, he had pictures of all the equipment, and that was about all he did. Peanut Island was out of control, Boca was having problems down here on the water, there was all kinds of boating accidents. We had a female deputy drinking who hit a pier and lost her arm in a boating accident. After he finished his presentation, I asked him if he was finished, he said yes. So I said, I have some questions. I said, called the screen room, I said, put up those slides. They put up the slides, and all the way across the board, arrests, seizures, tickets, everything was a 0, except for one ticket that was written. One ticket in a year by 16 men on the Marine unit. One ticket, and that was on a hard road. It wasn't even on the water. But I have to tell you, he was friends with the sheriff. 2 weeks later, the sheriff canceled ComStat. No more holding these guys accountable. 2 months later, he promoted that captain to major. That captain should have been demoted. Didn't let me do it.
So I think I hear some of the things you're going to do, and if you could do that briefly, we'd appreciate it.
Actually, the budget is almost $1 billion, folks. He went out, he's got 4 helicopters. He bought a $1.2 million plane that sits in a hangar, is hardly used, except to fly to Union up to the Tallahassee a couple of times. We need a forensic audit on what's going on in there. When I get in there, I will have an inspector general on board. In fact, the inspector general was the inspector general of HUD out of Washington, D.C. He now is retired and lives in Jupiter. He's going to come in. We're going to clean that place up. We're going to put that money where it belongs, back to the community. Because as that keeps increasing, your property tax keeps going up, because that's what pays for the sheriff. He just said the other day he wants a special taxing district for the sheriff. Nonsense. No, they need to spend that money correctly. He shut down the drug farm. That was a recovery program that was so successful, 80% success rate. It was recognized across the nation. People come in here modeling it. He shut that down. He shut down a program for kids, 12 to 14, that were getting off track. Semester in school, little boot camp, turned those kids' lives around, folks. Thing after thing he shut down. He spends money. He's in an office right now. He spends $55,000 a month for Class A office space on PGA Boulevard and won't even let anybody up there. Not even deputies are allowed up there. Folks, that's insane. It's not fair to you, the taxpayer. It's not fair to the people who are paying the bills. So that's what I intend to do. Thank you.
Protocol requires me to go to the next Palm Beach County. You're District 5 and not the whole, but you're gonna, you know.
No, I yield.
Are you okay? Come. Yeah. You're a gentleman, Jeff.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Hilda and Schmal, for doing all you do. My name is Gloria Branch, and I'm running for District 5, Boca Raton, Palm Beach County School Board member. I know many of you, and I know I've introduced myself before, but I have been in Boca since 1983. I attended Boca High, graduated from FAU with a degree in finance. I was chair of the FAU National Alumni Board of Directors. I was on the FAU Foundation Board, the Fuller Board for Underprivileged Children. I have the background of in banking for 30 years, so I have the background business for the $5.5 billion budget. I have governance experience, and once I retired from banking, I have been a substitute teacher for the last 2 years. I actually was teaching today, went and changed, that's why I'm wearing this, and did door knocking. And you know what I really noticed is a lot of kids in even 3rd grade, they can't read. And we're an A school district, but you got to look into the A. So we really got to look at these programs for reading and math and see actually how many kids, because half of them can't read, and some of the spelling today, and I'm thinking we really got to help these kids out. I have been able to have a bird's eye view of the school district because my dad is Dr. Art Johnson, who has been involved in education for 60 years and 40 of it in Palm Beach County. He was principal at Boca High and then Spanish River, and he ran countywide for this seat and won, and then he was superintendent for 10 years. And during those 10 years, we were the top urban school district. Now Miami is, so I want to get, my platform says back to basics, because it seems to me that we're kind of doing everything else except teaching reading, writing, math, and how to behave. It's very important. We want these kids to grow up to be good, productive citizens. I'm not for the radicalization of our youth to hate America. I am definitely the most qualified. I'm in the school, day, teaching the kids every day, today, not years ago. I know what's going on today. And they call me almost every day, and I love it. I love the kids. I've really learned that all they want is your time and attention. It's amazing, because a lot of them don't have good home life. It's amazing when you give them time and attention and teach them how much they light up and their confidence level grows. So it makes me feel good, and I'm really, my website is votegloriabranch.com. I'm endorsed by Teach Florida, Dr. Alan Jacobs, Boca Chamber, Palm Beach County Business, BizPAC, Palm Beach County Economic Council, Associated Builders and Contractors, Associated General Contractors, the Hispanic Vote of Palm Beach County, Empower Parents of Florida out of Tallahassee. So I have a lot of support. It's going very well. I am a Republican. I've been since 1987. I'm 56 years old. I know I don't look it. Just kidding. Little humor. I have good genes. But I really look forward to winning this. I have a lot of support, not only from Republicans, because it is nonpartisan, but I have a lot of Democrat and independent support. So it's going very well. I have a lot of support, and I appreciate everyone that's voted for me already. And I look forward to being the next school board member of District 5. Thank you.
And to that last statement, I say amen.
Amen.
All right, Jeff.
Thank you.
To the point.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Bongiorno and I'm running for Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. I'm the most qualified candidate. I'm a cyber security expert. I served on the Microsoft research panel for 4 years, and I've owned a consultancy with Microsoft. My intellectual property is in some of the enterprise products that companies use day in and day out. I've also been a Microsoft certified trainer for like forever, 30 years. I own 12 schools, talking about education, across the eastern seaboard before I got into software development. And when I'm elected as supervisor of elections, the first thing we want to do is we're going to join forces and do that forensic audit with the $35 million a year budget. And I'm not sure if you saw the 3 pelicans or flamingos that were $750,000. And you know, that's just ridiculous. And I have a financial tech background as well, and I'd like to implement zero-based budgeting where you don't just, it's not use it or lose it, or you don't get your 2% increase. Every expense should be justified. Other than that, oh, well, just yesterday, Ms. Link complained to the press that we were serving her with too many public records requests. And there's a lot of information that isn't so transparent. That's another reason why I'm running. There's issues with the express vote. I've been camped out for 4 days, 12 hours a day straight at the Cherry Road location. And anybody use the express vote machine where you touch the screen? How many people use that? Okay, so you can request a pen and a paper and you can fill out the oval. Just today I took a statement from a person who had a vote like switched. Now, I'm not saying that it was switched on purpose, but when you have technology and you could have electrical static and a person could have a different certain body type, and when they touch the screen it's picked up before they actually touch it. So I'm not like a conspiracy theorist saying don't use the machine, but we also did an exit poll and only 12% of the people we polled actually checked the receipt that the ballot, right? So that's a problem, and they're changing. And also, you might not get every race if you have the paper ballot. If the workflow is actually reversed, right? Where you look at the ballot and you fill in the ovals, as opposed to touching it and then trying to remember what printed out. It's not. Those machines are designed for the Americans with Disability Act. And I asked Wendy Link, why is every machine an ADA machine? If that's the case, every parking spot should be handicapped, and it's not, right? So we've been on this big push in all different early voting stations, requesting that you ask for a pen and you fill out the oval yourself. And if you do have to use the touchscreen, just make sure what printed out is actually your intent. Because there's been many, I'm working with the REC in Caucasia, we've had a lot of complaints where this has happened, and it's happening across the country. It could be as simple as the carpet, it's not a rubber floor, you need a certain floor for computers. So on that, just want you guys, I'm asking for your vote. I know that we have Republicans who are endorsing Democrats, and I have a whole theory on that. We won't go into that. I have a visual for you. I'll show it on the way out. So yeah, my website is votebongi.com, and that's bongi.com. You could You could check it out. You could, some last minute donations would be great for Facebook ads and whatnot. I see your question.
Yeah, so if you would check that piece of paper and you see that it's not correct, they have to change it for you? How does that work?
Yes, before you scan it, they have to change it. They will do that. Yep, yep. So with that, thank you all very much. And thank you, Hilda and Sean, for hosting it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, so I have a story I want to share. It's going to be a quick story, but it's very compelling for me because we're going to talk about how we help candidates. A member of our club, I called her. It was yesterday morning. And I said, you know, how you doing? She said, well, I had surgery. I said, I didn't know. She said, yes, I had surgery and then it went south. And so now I'm using a walker. But, she says to me, I promised that I would be a captain of a building. How many buildings are in Dorset?
I believe it's 11.
11 buildings. She says, I want material tomorrow. That's today. I said, you know, I think I need a little time. We were working on that. Antoinette was doing that while we were waiting for everyone. And she says, and I'm going to go door to door and put that material that we are supporting. And if I'm finished with the 11 buildings, I will help with any other building. Can you imagine that? It's just unbelievable. That's how passionate she was when she said to me, you know, Trump has to be elected. And all the people who are working with, she said to me, her final statement was, you know, when you travel foreign countries, you know, and they ask you, you know, who are you? You don't say I'm a Democrat or a Republican, you say I'm an American. And that's what we want. We want everyone to say we're Americans. We love this country. We want our children to love this country. We want them taught the right things in school. And so I'm very grateful for the lineup of our candidates, and they are marvelous. I wish he endorsed all of them, but I understand. We're just beginning. And so why am I telling you this story? I want to see how many of you are ready to work. We're in the, what is it called, when you're at the end of the road? And we really are.
Final
stretch. What?
Final stretch?
We're final. There are so many cliches I could use. This is quite a stretch. And it's a very short one right now. And I want to recognize Jessica Jansen, who's been working like a, I don't want to use the word devil, that implies something else. And I don't want to go even that way. But she has been working, and you have met her work. That's the poll sites where you see tents. She's organized people to be there and hand out material. Now, I did my job, which was to prepare an endorsement sheet, and that's what Henny was reading from, because I wanted each candidate that I personally was endorsing with a little blurb about them, so people would know when they're going into the booth who they're voting for. And I want you to know people have been constantly asking me, including from Israel. In Israel, my great niece wanted to know how to do it, and I gave her the instructions because Teach Florida, Teach Coalition, has been working with people who want to vote, working with voters in Israel, and how to get that voting ballot to the United States. So I've been doing that too. And the reason I mentioned Jessica is because she needs help. And why did I mention Neelam Shukla? That's her name. Because we need your help. A few hours a day, maybe a few hours several days. Please raise your hand if you're willing to help at the polls. We really need that help. I have one guy there, I got two. You know, Shmuel, you've been doing it for weeks and weeks. It's been unbelievable. He goes with Bob, who left, because she's got something else tomorrow I have to mention. And they've been canvassing and going door to door. So we're going to have Neelam. It's just amazing. She's amazing. I'm going to give you her phone. She's amazing. Imagine doing, she says, I have to use my wheelchair in her sweet way. Oh, not a wheelchair, her walker. She's going to do it with a walker, because she can't walk without it. So I'm just so impressed and feel so emotional about someone who is willing to put that effort in to make our efforts win. And we need to win, everybody. We need to win. So if you're ready, and I want to tell you one more thing. We were at the Teach Florida office yesterday, and several people who were sitting here were making phone calls, as was I. And I was calling people, some of you are here, to make sure you come tonight because they are worth listening to. So, could you come up here, Jessica? If you are interested in being assigned,
Mention tomorrow with Senator
I'm going to do that last. That has to be a real message. So Jessica is going to, any of you who are willing to stay at a polling site, please talk to her. You don't have to be there all day. She has a whole schedule going. Anyone who wants to make phone calls. Gloria gave me 165 pages of voters who took out ballots but haven't voted. And that's another thing we need. We need some people to make phone calls. So if you all know my number already, and if not, you'll get it from me. I don't mean it in a nasty way. And I will give you some sheets and what to say, because we can't win in any other way. We can't do it any other way. We must be at the polls. What did we do at the polls, Jessica?
So the polls are open right now from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. across the county. So we have about 26 locations. Here in South Region, which is my region, I am the regional director for the Republican Party of Palm Beach County. I have 3 sites set up. I have East Boca at the downtown library. I have West Boca at the library on 441, just north of Yamato, right here. And I also have Hagen Ranch, which is in Delray, still not very far from here. But I have people staffed at the polls every 3 hours throughout the day. So we have constant volunteers. I am light on volunteers coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We need to flood the polls. We have voters that are so excited to cast their vote for President Trump, and if we don't hand them a voter guide when they go in, they are going to vote for Donald Trump and walk away. We cannot have that. We need them to vote down ballot. This is why it's so important to grab them as they go into the polls, give them this slip of paper and say, please vote down ballot. And they will. They are so excited to vote for our president, and they want to make a difference. So I need you. I need you to flood the polls. If you can't do a whole 3-hour session, that's okay. Call me, let me know what you're available, what site that you're looking to do, and I will make sure that we are there to support you so that you can support our voters. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting our candidates. Thank you for Hilda, everything that you guys do. It is crunch time. We need everybody there, everybody hands on. If anybody knows me, I do a party at the polls every year. and it's usually the last weekend of early voting. Every day is party at the polls until November 5th right now.
And
So
you're not alone. You are not by yourself. There's
That's
a
right,
team
that's right.
working at each of these polls.
exactly, I set it up it's very easy, or it's very organized. You come in, you know exactly what needs to be done. If people have questions about our candidates, we have candidate information as well. So feel free, come check it out. If you like it, schedule with me. I have cards if anybody's interested. Grab my card. You can call, text me, email. We'll get you on the schedule. We'll make sure that you're out there supporting our voters. Thank you.
How many want her card? You better all raise your hand. Go around. They're raising their hand. Please give it to them. Now I have one last. Yeah, keep it up. It's good for your, you know.
Good exercise.
What? Jeff?
So, yes, statement of question is, the new SOE facility at 4301 Cherry Road is also an early polling location, and REC kind of failed to realize that there'd be voting there, and it's one of the busiest, and it's the polling locations, and it's structured so there's an elevator and a 3-level parking garage. So it's very easy to pick off the folks as they get out of the elevator. I have a table set up there, and so it's a really good.
I don't run the REC. I'm happy I can handle this.
Yeah, well, you're in the shade.
You know what I mean.
It's a good one. You're in the shade, and it's a good place to be.
Listen, there is another polling place that I tell everyone about that has to be also taken care of, and that's the Glades Library. That's a very important one for us. And now I tell you something about tomorrow. If you live in Century Village, could you raise your hand? All right. Because tomorrow morning, Jared, our current congressman, is coming to the synagogue. It's supposed to have been written as a candidate's time to meet your candidate. And sponsored by the synagogue. The synagogue is not really listed because he has invited everyone from Century Village. So if you're interested in hearing your congressman, it's a good idea to come on tomorrow morning, believe it or not. I feel like I've been working for 24 hours a day. And it's at 10:30 tomorrow. If you want to hear what he has to say, what he has accomplished, it would be a good thing to show up. It'll be probably in this room. And he's sponsoring bagels and coffee, if that's important to you. In any event, I want to thank you. I want to thank these brilliant people right here. Aren't we fortunate? Really brilliant. And my good friend who's a Democrat, and his beautiful, better half, Melissa, and for coming here and offering this time. We haven't seen you in a while, and I appreciate it very, very much. I think everybody here appreciates it. Thank you all. And let's win on November 5th, everyone. We got to do it.
And what about Rick Scott tomorrow?
Good luck to you, buddy.